Welcome back. This section, we're going to go over artificial intelligence and machine learning. We're going to go over the concepts in general and then touch on some of the stuff that AWS offers in particular. Okay, so what is AI? Here's an overview. Artificial intelligence is a broad field and it focuses on developing intelligent systems capable of performing tasks that typically require human intelligence, like perception, reasoning, learning, problem solving, and decision making. AI encompasses various techniques, including machine learning, deep learning, and generative AI. So, what are machine learning and deep learning? Machine learning is a subset of AI that allows machines to learn from data without being explicitly programmed. Deep learning is a further subset of machine learning, and it involves neural networks with multiple layers. These are hidden layers, and it's inspired by the human brain's structure. So, it enables the processing of more complex patterns. So, how does it work? So, there's several layers. Let me see if I can find something I can give it. Okay, let's see if I can get this. Let's see, four basic AI layers. Uh, um, let's see. Data, frameworks, models, application. Let's see if I can find it specifically. So I thought I had it there. Um, this might be a good one. Yeah, let's try this on the AWS. All right. Okay. So this is a data layer, right? AI systems start with a vast amount of data collected and curated by data scientists and engineers. Then there's a machine learning framework. This involves selecting appropriate algorithms or frameworks that help solve specific problems. Then there's a model layer. So this is a selected framework that's used to create a model, which is then trained using the data. The model's parameters and functions are fine-tuned during this process. And then there's an application layer. So once the model is ready, it's deployed to serve predictions or insights into end users. All right, so we'll go over some machine learning fundamentals. Uh, just get you a nice image for reference. All right. Okay. So here's some basic things. So machine learning is a type of AI that's focused on building methods that allow machines to learn from data, improving performance on specific tasks over time. So first, there's supervised learning. This involves training a model using labeled data where the correct output is known. Examples include regression. So that means predicting continuous values, and classification. That means predicting discrete categories. Then you have unsupervised learning. This involves training a model using unlabeled data. The model identifies patterns and structures within the data without explicit instructions. Techniques include clustering and association rule learning. Then you have semi-supervised learning. This combines a small amount of labeled data with a large amount of unlabeled data. The model is first trained on the labeled data and then use the learned patterns to label the unlabeled data. And then you have reinforcement learning. So this is a type of machine learning, excuse me, where an agent learns to make decisions by interacting with an environment, and it aims to maximize cumulative rewards over time. Common applications include gaming, robotics, and autonomous vehicles. So let's go into AWS. Let's look at machine learning, and we're looking for, let's see if I can find it, SageMaker. All right. So SageMaker, this is the core machine learning product. So we're just going to go through here and walk you through how to go here. All right, so you're into SageMaker. One, you can set this up for a single user. You can set this up for an organization. But we're going to look for, yeah, we'll do this. Well, we have the studio available here. Yeah, there we go. All right, well, that's our studio. That's going to be more data analysis. Okay, let's just check it for a single user. All right. Then we're going to get a domain. All right, so where are domains? Manage rules. Well, we don't need the rules quite yet. So we got a domain name that's configured here. And let's see. Let's look for a role. We have our execution role. Okay. And then let's see if we can go here. We'll click submit for this. All right. This is just a quick setup for it. Click that again. Did I not add something? Okay, it's still preparing it. Let me try and click it again. But basically, SageMaker is one of the core models. This is what you're going to be able to do a lot. All right. And you see up here, settings, profiles, space management, configurations, and environment and resources. These are critical pieces that you're going to be able to use while configuring this. So take a little bit of time, but we'll be okay. The next place we're going to go is notebooks. Let me open that up. All right. So from here, you can launch your notebook in seconds, use underlying compute and storage, perform the ML and analytics workflows, and generate code assistance using Q Developer and work with your peers. This is pretty impressive. Let's see if this is completed. All right, so let's create a notebook instance. We're gonna say SageMaker practice notebook. All right, so we enter the name, the instance type. This is gonna cost a lot of compute, so be careful when you're completing this. None of these are free tiers, but some will use more and more. Look at this. Oof, these are big dogs. These are things are going to be university level. All right. Select your platform. All right. Let's see. You have your permissions here set for this. Encryption you can set here for this. We don't have any set up for this. Then we can configure some networking with this to work within a project, which would be useful. We can have code that we can add to this, and then tags for expenses and operational efficiency. All right. Let me see. We already have our role. All right. We're going to create the notebook instance. All right. Let's see. We got this still working. Is this still working? Wow. All right. So it's good. We have the notebooks being created. It takes a little bit of time, usually 2 or 3 minutes. Okay. And then we're going to go for the SageMaker canvas right here. All right. And so within this, okay, we don't have any profiles here. Let's create the user profile. We create our profile. We have our execution role. Go next. This is where we can configure our application, right? So this is where it's useful. We can configure our canvas here. So machine learning prediction. So this is that no code. This is where you would have your artifacts pushed through, have your encryption, enable Q developer, get your large processing, which would be, oh, that's medical record. So this would be good for something like HIPAA requirements. Then you can have your ML ops, so you can work within your pipeline. And have your registry for all of your materials, so you can track and automate through your life cycle. And then you have an upload. Oh, so this is your cores. Okay. So this is how you would share resources across this. And then any authorization from any outside or third-party configuration, or sorry, authentications. And then you'd have your RStudio, which would be for the language R, but you need to have your license to be able to activate this, which we're not going to go for. Click Next. And you select any applications that you want to input this with this. So you have your code editor, your canvas. All of these are AWS ones, but we're not technically going to need this. I don't think we're going to complete this. And then the machine learning tools displayed. This is going to be fantastic. I can see how a lot. Look at all of this you can work with. Data wrangling. hyperpods. Oh man, this is why AI is going to be in the future, right? Your model evaluations, performance evaluations, your pipelines and models. Yeah, I can see why this is going to be big. Okay, you add this in here, inherit data, inherit settings from this. So this is from your file system. So if you had this plugged in with a third party, like your Windows file system or something like that, it would be good. POSIX. POSIX, what does that mean again? Identity for file systems operations. Okay, file systems. And you have your APIs in here for these primary languages. You're going to click Next. This is a review to see everything that's going to be available. And from here, we click Create. All right. And from here, you could do a lot. So we're going to cancel this portion. Okay. All right. So let's see. Let's go ahead and delete this. Let's stop that. Commands. Oh, it's still setting up. I'll delete that shortly. All right. So next we're going to go to understanding what deep learning is. All right. Let me get a good photo for you. Okay. 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 So there's a couple of components when it comes to deep learning. All right. One, there's neural networks. Deep learning models consist of multiple layers of neurons. These are input, hidden, and output layers. These networks learn to recognize patterns in data through extensive training. Then you have applications. Deep learning is used in computer vision, so that would be for image classification or object detection, and natural language processing. So that would be text classification or sentiment analysis. Then you have transformer models. So transformers are a type of deep learning architecture used in natural language processing. They process entire sentences rather than word by word, leading to faster and more efficient text processing. Popular models include Google BERT, OpenAI ChatGPT, and these are both based on transformers, right? Let's see. And next, let's go into Gen AI. Let's get a good photo for you to refer to. Um, mhm. Right. Okay. So AI. So Gen AI is a subset of deep learning that involves multi-purpose foundation models capable of adapting to various general tasks. These models can be fine-tuned with specific data to meet particular use cases. Then there's transformer architecture. So Gen AI models like ChatGPT use transformer architecture to generate human-like text. These models are trained on vast data sets and learn complex patterns between words and phrases. Multimodal models. These models handle multiple types of inputs like text, images, or audio, and provide multiple outputs like video or text. And they can generate content that combines different media formats, such as creating a video with synchronized audio based on a single image and prompt. So next, let's go into AWS's default. Okay, let's close this. Delete, delete. All right, we're going to delete that. All right, so we're going to go into AWS's natural language processing. Okay, let's go to the Hamburg or the DICE. Let's see, machine learning, comprehend. All right. So within this, you can go and see comprehend. See, this is an NLP, natural language processing, that uses machine learning to find relationships and insights in text. So let's go ahead and launch it. All right. So we clicked on it and we can see that there is real-time analysis, which we're on. And you can do this with built-in models or custom realized real-time analysis with endpoint. So let's use this. So this is the input text. Hello. Hello, love. I like your product. How would you suggest I use it to plan a trip to Miami? Go click analyze, and it will see the results. Oops. All right. So the results are here. Oh, I probably try and analyze this. Okay, boom. All right. So here's it. See, you see it as one result here for location. Okay. Or AI product. Okay. AWS organization. Okay. So what you're having with the results are going to be several things that are going to output entities. These will be things like these will be people, locations, or organizations. Then key phrases. So this will be important phrases extracted. Then you'll have overall sentiment, positive, negative, or neutral. Then you'll have language, and this will detect a language with confidence. And you'll have syntax, which will be parts of speech analysis. Um, see, French. This is France, other. So that would be the syntax. All right. Oh, let's see if that gets sentiment. No, it doesn't get picked up the sentiment. Okay, that's fine. And then you'll have, let's go to another model. All right, but this is just to give you an example. All right, we'll go to machine learning again. Let's see if we can find this. Textract. So Textract is here to extract text from data scanned documents. All right, so it uses OCR, which is optical character recognition, to identify contents of fields and forms and information stored in tables. So this would be really useful if you had a PDF that didn't have baseline text underneath it. It was just an image. All right, I think I have one that is good. Well, here's a good example of what they're using. Here, this is perfect. Hope you can see this. All right, they basically take a pay stub and scale all of this to pull out all this information. The company, address one, address two, social security information. Boom. This is fantastic, right? So you can upload documents to this, like a PDF, and maybe an EPUB, and then select. All right, you can download the results. Let's see. All right, here it is. So here it is. You upload the document from here. Okay. Then, or you could drag and drop it. And then from there, you can select the forms for key value pair extraction. You can select tables for table extraction and click analyze. And then you'll see it output here. All this raw data, right? And then you can have form data for key value pairs, or you can look at tables if tables were detected. And all of this has all of these things from this check to this pay stub. Okay. We'll go next to machine learning. And we'll look for translate. All right. So translate is really cool. This is a fast and affordable multilingual usage. So if you're trying to fly overseas and you want something in your pocket, you could use something like this or create an application like this. Okay, so what we're going to do. So we're going to enter text real time to target Spanish. Hello, driver. What's the quickest way to the Grand Hyatt in downtown Rio? Well, I'm not going to answer. Lima, Peru. And you see right here. Hola, conductor, ¿cuál es la forma más rápida de llegar al Grand Hyatt en el centro de Lima, Peru? Right? That's near real time. So you can keep moving with this, and the language will auto detect. Or if you're going from, you can specify if you're going Afrikaans to Armenian, right? And it does a number of different languages. Let's see. Azerbaijani, right? There's a number of languages that you wouldn't think of that would be here. Okay. And so there you can review the translated output and see the confidence scores. Let's see. Source language. This would be really good. Okay. And then you can see you can add a document as well. Choose source language, upload the file. What type of file is it? And be able to add it. Okay. And you could also use something like the Textract and then move to translate and then have everything be able to translate pretty realistically. It will cost you though. So be aware of that. All right. Okay. Next, we're going to go to another one over machine learning and then recognition. Okay. All right. So recognition is computer vision, right? So this detects objects in your business or in real life, right? So any type of photo or video, this provides analysis for your applications that you can use on your personal or your business or your professional life, right? So one thing you're going to do, go to recognition. We're going to see, well, there's a bunch of different demos, custom moderation. Try demo. There we go. Looking for this. Okay, so here's a sample of what you can do. You can add your own image to it, right? Add it to there, and you can see the results right here. See the request information and a response that'll come out with labels that in the key value pair style that provide for your position, right? And it can find text in an image. So if you're looking for signage or documentation, you can click and find it as well. There's another sample that'll pull this out. Let's see, architecture, cityscape, metropolis. Boom, right? And you can upload a face to this. And you can look for detected attributes like age range, emotions, gender, and be able to output those things as well. All right. And then we're going to go to machine learning, or the dice, machine learning. And then we're going to go to Poly. So this is a text to speech AI, right? So what you're going to do, you have different types of words here. This is the most expressive. This is very human sounding compared to what you used to be able to find 1, 2, 5, even 10 years ago. All right. You select your language, your voice profile, you choose your engine type, long form, neural, standard. All right. There's a bunch of different types, and you enter your text here. Okay, give me a second. Enter this. And let me see if I share. Did I share this correctly? Advanced sharing options. Give me 1 second. All right, let's give this a shot again.
Welcome to our AI Practitioner exam preparation. This audio demonstrates Amazon Polly's text-to-speech capabilities.
All right. That was interesting, wasn't it? And you can add a lot more. Remember, you have generative, you have long form, neural. You can change the voice, you can change the language, and move forward with that. And you also have your speech file formats, your customizing pronunciation. So you can make things a little more unique. Okay? So there's data in machine learning. That's the next portion. So one of the most important things in in machine learning, excuse me, is data, right? The quality of the data used to train a machine learning model is critical. Poor data, meaning garbage in, leads to poor model performance, meaning garbage out. Preparing and cleaning data is essential for building effective models. First, you have labeled versus unlabeled data, which we've talked about earlier. Labeled data includes input features with corresponding output labels used in supervised learning. Unlabeled data only includes input features and is used in unsupervised learning. Then there's structured versus unstructured data. Structured data is organized in a tabular format with rows and columns. Think of an Excel spreadsheet, while unstructured data includes texts, images, and multimedia content without a predefined structure. So let's see if we can go look at SageMaker again. Okay, so what we're going to do is look in this for the built-in algorithms. So, okay, so here's Jumpstart. So what we're going to do is look for models. Let's see foundational models. Um, so here you can see the type of models that are already being used or are available within SageMaker. You have Stable Diffusion, Llama. So look at this. So you have more images, you have text generation, you have Llama for text generation and chat, you have AI 21 Jurassic, which is for LLM evaluations. This is for good text generation. And the list goes down. You can see this side arrow can show you rows and rows and columns of available models. Okay, these are foundational models that have been spent a lot of time on. Okay, then you can look at all of this all you want. And let's go up here. Okay, you can search for a specific one. See, DeepSeek. All right, there's a number of these. Okay, Claude. Let's see, Anthrop. Wow, Amazon. All right, so you have some Amazon models as well. Okay, so you can also check out. Let's see. Let's see. You can use this to check out models based for your use case. So it was text generation, video, images, and let's see. Let's view the model, right? And see any deployment options that you might have here. Okay, so you see, you can view the code. You can open the model in the studio. You see all these details down here: text generation, keyword extraction, information extraction, question answering, summarization, sentiment analysis, etc. Okay. Oh, I don't want to create another domain, so we're not going to do that. And then looks like the code is not available for public consumption. However, let's see if how about let's see DeepSeek, because I think that might still be public. Okay, and we can see view the code. Let's see what they have. All right, this is their code for SageMaker. All right, you can see how to pip install it, deploy models, invoke the endpoints. This is how you would use this through the regions available and not available. All right, which is pretty solid. It looks like it's a pretty available model. Okay, and then you could also open it in the model studio and be good to go. All right, so you can just deploy a model, which we showed you how over here. So you open that model, open it in the studio, and then create that domain, and then be able to deploy it. From here, you create an endpoint and an instance, which you showed you with that SageMaker notebook earlier, and then you click deploy and then be able to monitor it. It can take 5 to 20 minutes, depending on how it goes. All right, but we don't want to go through that because we're trying to keep this a little reasonable as far as time. All right, so let's see. Um, okay, so here's SageMaker Autopilot. We're going to go here, which I believe should be machine learning. Machine learning. SageMaker. Well, I guess it's a subset within it, but that's okay. Let's go back here. I don't see it. No, I don't see it. Okay, we'll see where we clicked here. That's a DeepSeek. Let's close out some of this. All right. So SageMaker Autopilot, this is what we did a little bit earlier. So from here, you could be able to create an autopilot job. Am I not seeing it? Okay. Here's the typical, here's the SageMaker workflow right here. All right. Labeling data, connecting to other AWS services like S3, maybe an EBS to transform the data in the notebook, and you can train it, you can tune it, then you can deploy it, right, into endpoints for real-time predictions. So that means you could probably put it in your VPC to see what could go on with that. Use it as a tool to scan your network, scan your Security groups, whatever you actually need, right? Scan your logs to see what's going on there, to look for certain things, and you can train it to only deliver to certain places or certain endpoints, right? So think about being essentially deploying magic into your system. It's not quite magic, but it's a lot more adaptable, right? And there's instructional videos that can go here, and this would help to automatically train your data. So with this, you would be able to get your jobs going, update the engineering, creating something like guardrails, which we discussed earlier, tune it, go for the best model practices, and deploy it. And let's see. Uh, I'm looking for endpoints, but I don't see it. Oh, it's probably it here. There we go. Endpoints. Excuse me. All right, so endpoints. There we go. All right, so an endpoint right here, you would create this, and this would give it a name that you could use for a configuration for a model you've trained, tuned, and deployed, right? You could select the model from the steps that we talked about earlier, choose the instance like we talked about with the SageMaker notebook, create this endpoint, and then once the endpoint is in service, you can use that notebook to send test requests. So then you can monitor your endpoint, its metrics, and its performance in order to give what you need for your whole team. All right. And then we can go and look at what I think what might be our last piece, maybe batch jobs. Okay. All right. So here's batch jobs. So these are batch performance jobs or transformer jobs. You can go from here. All right. So what you could do with this would be you go in here, create it, name it, get the model that you'd want, DeepSeek, OpenAI, whatever. Get the instance that we created or the instance you want to create. Select your input. So the S3, find that location, you enter that location, okay? And then where you're going to output it. And then this is what you're going to do for a batch performance. Like if you had hundreds of files that you wanted to transform, this is what you would use. And you create your job and be able to process it. So this would be a way to deploy a model and monitor it through AWS native tools. All right. And then let's go. All right, let's see if that's here. Clarify container images. This is what I was looking for. Okay, so within this, huh, it should be related here with instant inference or model monitoring, right? So this is a way that you would explain what's actually going for this, right? So this would be, let me see, there we go. Probably in processing jobs. Okay. So this is a way that you could create the processing job, name the job. Okay. SageMaker sets up a distributed compute, executes a computation, deletes the cluster when it's completed. So this would be a batch job that you could do that explains what you're trying to do, right? So when you're doing all of this runtime jobs with this, you enter your name, enter your container, you can start to do something with this model in order to collect target information, sensitive attributes that you're trying to look for, outputs that you're trying to target and dump this information into, right? And then you can select your VPC for it. What's your entry point for your application? What are the arguments it's trying to process for? And then you can redo this. Okay, applications, the input data that it's looking to work with. And then how do you output that, right? So this would help you review your training and post-training bias metrics and download a report to your bucket and analyze the important features and explain it to you. Okay. All right. And let's see. Another thing we can do. All right. So if we had created that endpoint, you're going to go here. Okay. Let's see. All right. Well, That's not really the best place. Okay, so yeah, it's not here. Okay, well, with the endpoint, you can update this to monitor a model. So when you are in this endpoint, you can enable data capture and specify the S3 that you're using for that endpoint in order to capture the data, and then create a monitoring schedule. Within that monitoring schedule, you can look for the data quality and set the schedule for something hourly or data or daily and be able to go forward with this. So this is a lot of ways that you get through bigger topics within AI. And we'll go back to some of those topics. So, feature engineering. So, this is the process of using domain knowledge to select, transform, and create new features from data, enhancing the performance of ML models, which we've shown here. What are the features you're going to use within, say, SageMaker to deliver new features from existing data? Meaning converting any information or converting any imagery. Then you're talking about choosing the most relevant features. So that can mean what models you're going to use, how are you going to use them, and how are you going to implement them. And then you're talking about feature transformation. So that's modifying data values to improve model performance, like normalizing data with tables, for instance, like we showed you with, I think it was Rekognition, and then using that for, let's say, pay stub data. How can you do that? So the most useful things I think to look for when you're working with AI are model fit, bias, and variance. So these are interesting topics. Okay, overfitting would be a model that performs well on training data, but poorly on unseen data due to being too complex. So it has too high a variance and can't adjust to something that it's not set up for. Okay, something like a DevOps model would probably do pretty poorly on a baking model. Then you have underfitting. So this would be a model that performs poorly on both training and test data because it's too simple. It has high bias. So this would be something that was just planned for a general knowledge model, but you needed to customize towards something very specific like baking or DevOps. Right? And so one you want is to typically have a balanced model, something that has low bias, low variance, which generalizes well to new data and then can be trained up on that. Then you have the two big things, bias versus variance. So, bias, this is the error between the predicted and actual values. So, high bias indicates underfitting, meaning it's not really tuned well to that. So, that model that's too general is just not tuned well enough to something like baking or DevOps. Then you have variance. This is the sensitivity of a model's performance to changes in the training data set. So, the high variance indicates overfitting. So you might have something trained too well on one specific domain within, say, IT, but it's not trained well on other things. Or in cooking, it might be trained extremely well on eggs, but nothing else is really going to enter its lexicon of knowledge. So inferencing, could be very helpful for it. So you have real-time inferencing, where making predictions immediately as new data arrives and prioritizing speed over perfect accuracy. These are some things that would be very useful in AI. This would be useful for something like chatbots. Then you have batch inferencing, which is something that we showed a little bit of. Well, we showed both earlier, which would be analyzing large amounts of data at once, prioritizing accuracy over speed. And then the results are processed and analyzed after the entire data set is evaluated. So it's somewhat similar to what the OpenAI Claude models do. They take a lot of data, output a lot of data, and then give you some feedback along the way. All right. And the most important thing when it comes to learning AI is to monitor and control costs. So when you're done with this, which we're rounding up, you want to go to your billing console, go to Cost Explorer, and then filter by SageMaker services. And you want to set up budgets for machine learning spending. Then you want to go into your notebooks and stop them when they're not in use. This will cost you. Delete any unnecessary endpoints, clean up S3 storage, and you should be good to go. So remember, clean up your endpoints, clean up your notebooks, delete your SageMaker domain. And I believe outside of that, other things you should remember for the exam are I am roles. How do you assign those for your SageMaker? You saw that within the configurations for each. S3, that's going to be required for data input and output. Instance types. Choosing the right size is important for performance, but also cost optimization. You don't want to have a runaway bill every month. These can get into thousands or tens of thousands. Then you have your data formats. We talked about the labeled and unlabeled, the JSON key value pairs. Understand the supported formats for each service, whether it's PDF or doc, if it's imagery. Understand what it's going to go. Poly versus recognition, text to speech, all of these type of things are very specific. Okay, and then understand the workflow examples, like a text analysis pipeline. You want to use comprehend to translate to Textract workflow. Let's say a computer vision tasks, right? You want to use Rekognition for image or video analysis. For speech processing, we use transcribe, which went audio to text, or you can use Poly, which uses text to audio. Then you can understand the machine learning model lifecycle. So we showed SageMaker with a pretty rough end-to-end workflow, but we showed it. And then you can have no code. So we saw a little bit of SageMaker no canvas. We didn't open that, but we showed how you can get into that. And then how do you be responsible with AI? One, understanding what your guardrails are, creating bias detection. How do you limit that? Because you don't want to have a wild open, wild west situation. You want to be able to work in a professional realm where your machine is fit well for its needs, but not underfit. Anyways, thank you for joining me. Next time, the next issue will be on more AWS managed AI services. At that point, I appreciate your time. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this with someone you know taking the AI Practitioner.